Today, we're going on a truly mind-bending journey into one of the most heavily debated and mysterious structures literally anywhere on Earth, the Great Pyramid of Giza. For centuries, we've just marveled at the pyramids. But the more we peel back the layers of how they were actually built, the more complicated the story gets. We're going to look straight at the math, the astronomical alignments, and the hard physical data right from the site itself.
So, I want to kick things off by asking you a massive question, one that might sound almost impossible right out of the gate. Did the builders of the pyramids, thousands of years ago, somehow know the exact, precise size of the Earth? As we look closely at the dimensions, you'll see exactly why researchers are seriously asking this. But hey, before we get into the complex math, we need to establish a baseline of what we're physically dealing with here.
Section 1. The Scale of the Mystery. To truly appreciate this enigma, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer, staggering scale of this project. The Great Pyramid is made up of roughly 2.3 million individual limestone blocks. The whole thing sits on a massive 13-acre footprint and shoots up 481 feet into the air. And here's the absolute craziest part, many of these individual blocks weigh around 5 tons. To put that into perspective for you, 5 tons is roughly the weight of a fully grown elephant. So imagine moving 2.3 million elephants and stacking them 481 feet high. It's a monumental task that would honestly stretch the limits of modern engineering today, let alone in the ancient world.
Section 2. Impossible engineering precision.
Now, what's really interesting about this is shifting our focus from the raw, brute force size of the pyramid to the mind-boggling surgical accuracy of its construction. Remember how that foundation covers 13 acres? Well, the base level across that entire massive expanse is accurate to within just 0.75 inches. Yep, less than an inch. Talk to any modern structural engineer, and they'll tell you that achieving a completely flat level over a 13-acre site with that little variance is an unbelievable feat. Today, you'd literally need highly advanced laser leveling systems to pull that off.
And the precision doesn't stop at the foundation, not even close. The pyramid is perfectly aligned to the true North Pole. The eastern and western walls point straight north with the exact same accuracy you'd get out of a modern compass. Orienting a structure of this immense size to true north thousands of years ago with such flawless execution, it's just a stunning testament to what they were capable of.
Let's actually look at the walls themselves. The 4 base walls are each 230 meters long. When you measure them, the maximum difference in length between any of these 4 massive walls is just 2 inches. That means the walls are built with a 99.98% accuracy rate. We're talking about near flawless precision. And remember, they're doing this using 5-ton blocks.
Section 3. Earth's proportions in miniature.
Now let's zoom out to the macro level and look at the undeniable mathematical formulas hidden right inside the architecture itself. To understand this math, we first need to define a specific astronomical event, the solar equinox. You know how days are longer in the summer and shorter in the winter, right? Well, on just 2 days a year, March 21st and September 22nd, the sun sits exactly over the equator, meaning day and night are completely balanced. You get exactly 12 hours of daytime and exactly 12 hours of nighttime.
So, keep those 12 hours in mind. If we take those 12 hours of the equinox and convert them into seconds, it comes out to exactly 43,200 seconds. This number, 43,200, is incredibly important here. It basically acts as a mathematical smoking gun multiplier that's hidden right within the pyramid's dimensions. Let me show you how. If you take the Great Pyramid's height of 481 feet and multiply it by our equinox number of 43,200, the result translates to 6,333 kilometers. Now, why does that matter? Because 6,333 kilometers is a 99.63% accurate match to the actual polar radius of the Earth. The ancient builders essentially scaled the Earth's radius perfectly into the height of the pyramid.
Now you might be thinking, okay, that's a fascinating coincidence. But let's look at the base. The perimeter of the pyramid's base is 0.921 kilometers. If you multiply that perimeter by the exact same multiplier, 43,200, the result is a 99.34% match with the Earth's total equatorial circumference. Just think about that for a second. You could maybe have a coincidence once, but can you really have a 99% accurate representation of the Earth's dimensions encoded into the structure twice, using the exact same solar equinox multiplier? Absolutely incredible.
Section 4. The Hidden 8 Sides.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the math of the equinox isn't just in the dimensions, it's actually baked into physical secrets in the pyramid's design.
See, for thousands of years, everyone thought the Great Pyramid just had 4 flat sides. But in 1940, a British Air Force pilot was flying over the pyramid on the exact day of the solar equinox. From the air, under that very specific lighting of the equinox sun, he noticed a shadow forming that proved the pyramid actually has 8 sides. The 4 main sides are slightly concave, split perfectly down the middle. This 8-sided phenomenon is completely invisible from the ground. You can literally only see it from the sky on that specific day of the solar equinox.
Section 5. Aligning with the stars. Let's zoom out one final time to the cosmic level. If they understood the Earth this well, what about the sky above them? This brings us to a well-known, though heavily debated, hypothesis called the Orion constellation theory, which was popularized by author Graham Hancock. The theory proposes that the layout of the 3 main pyramids of Giza exactly mirrors the size and positioning of the 3 stars that make up the belt in the Orion constellation.
But here's where the timeline creates a massive puzzle for us. The alignment of the pyramids on the ground doesn't perfectly match the Orion stars in the sky during the time they were supposedly built, which is roughly 2500 BC. Because of the natural shift of the stars over millennia, Hancock's theory points out that the pyramid's layout actually forms an incredibly close match to the night sky as it looked much, much earlier, specifically in the year 11,400 BC. That is long before the accepted timeline of the ancient Egyptian civilization.
Section 6. A lost advanced civilization?
This brings us to the final phase of this escalating mystery. If the astronomical alignment points to an older date, is there any physical, geological evidence on the ground to support this older timeline? Well, this is where we look at the research of Professor Robert Schoch from Boston University. He analyzed the Great Sphinx, which sits right next to the pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Schoch observed these deep, vertical fissures and erosion patterns on the Sphinx and its enclosure walls. His geological analysis concluded that this specific type of heavy weathering couldn't be caused by wind and dry sand. Instead, it's the undeniable signature of massive, fast-flowing water and prolonged, heavy rainfall.
So why is water erosion in the middle of a dry desert so significant? Because science tells us that the climate of Egypt hasn't seen that kind of heavy, torrential water for a very, very long time. In fact, you'd have to go back to roughly 9,700 BC, the end of the last ice age. During this period, melting glaciers raised global sea levels by nearly 500 feet. That caused massive, sweeping floods and heavy rainfall across areas exactly like the Giza Plateau. This aligns the physical water damage on the Sphinx directly with that much older era of 11,400 to 9,700 BC.
Which kind of leaves us with a startling reality about what we actually know versus what we assume. Despite popular belief, and despite years and years of searching by archaeologists, not a single mummy has ever been discovered inside a Great Pyramid. Furthermore, while the ancient Egyptians meticulously recorded their history, their daily life, their religion, and countless hieroglyphs all over the country, there is absolutely zero hieroglyphic record explaining the engineering or construction of the Great Pyramids.
So the crucial point is this. When we look at the laser-accurate leveling, the impossible 8-sided equinox design, the mathematically perfect miniaturization of the Earth, and the geological evidence of deep water erosion, we have to ask ourselves a really profound question.